Hi, my name is Hayley Worrell. I'm 27 years old, and 7 years ago I was injured at work. I was working as a certified nursing assistant at a long-term care facility up in Prescott, Arizona. I'd planned on going to nursing school. It had always been my passion to help people, and that was where I found that I was the perfect fit. In 2017, about a month after I had my first son, I returned to work off of maternity leave and was lifting a patient and herniated 3 discs in my back while doing that, and it caused significant damage. Now, I worked in a environment that was it was a very healthy work environment. It was very encouraging and uplifting. I loved the supervisors, I loved my co-workers, I loved the residents. It was a great place to work. There was just support all around. And I think that most people, when they work in this type of environment, where it's just a really great place to work, they don't have any fears about what would happen if they were injured on the job, because they figure that that support in that nurturing environment is going to continue forward whether you get hurt or not. And in my case, I was unpleasantly surprised that that was not the case. Once I got hurt, there became 3 people involved. It wasn't just me in the workplace trying to figure out how I can move forward and heal and get back to work as normal. There was now an insurance company, and all of it was very confusing for me. Instead of that overwhelming support and just constantly uplifting me at work while I was a full-time employee, as soon as I got hurt, I didn't feel that support anymore. Instead, I got met with frustration and anger, and just people being uncooperative about my restrictions and what I could do and what I couldn't do, and finding suitable work to replace what I was doing while I wasn't able to do it, and just a lack of understanding, a lack of empathy, which was not what I was used to at all with these employers. So it shifted dramatically, and I was very frustrated and confused and hurt. And for about 2 months before I reached out to an attorney, I really didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know what I could do, and it was a really stressful time. So about 2 months in, I decided to reach out to an attorney to help navigate through the process because it was so confusing. And I ended up calling a couple of different firms that were personal injury firms, so they didn't take workers' compensation cases, but I kept getting recommendations over and over again for a firm called Carpio Weekley. And so I decided to give them a call. Within minutes, I was talking to a paralegal, and within an hour, I was talking to an attorney. And the attorney that I had was Weekley, and he immediately answered all of my questions. He asked a lot of good questions, which I think is so important, just specific to the case. And this is before I had hired them. Just very personable. I could tell just from that first conversation that I would be in good hands if I did choose them to represent me. And 7 years later, Brian is still my attorney. We're about to get to the end of my case. Turns out my case was a really complicated one, and there wasn't a lot of cooperation from all of the parties. So it's taken time to get things done, but things did get done, and I would have never been able to do that without their help. Specifically, this law firm is really, really good at keeping you in the loop and educating you about the process along the way to make sure that you know how it's going and what's happening, what to expect. All of those things that I felt were super important and super valuable to me, they did, because this kind of process is really, really confusing if you have never been through it before. It's frustrating when things aren't going how you think it should go. You think it should be very easy to get a doctor's appointment scheduled or to get light duty restrictions, and it's just not the case. No matter how wonderful your employers are, it's usually not just so simple. And so immediately after my injury, I just felt so out of control. I didn't know what to do, just kind of flustered all of the time. And as soon as Brian came in and the legal team from Carpio Weekley just came in and started educating me and helping me and guiding me, everything got so much easier, and I felt a little bit of that control come back. And I think that's super important when you're going through difficult things in life, to have someone that guides you and makes you feel like you know what's going on and you know what's going to happen and you know what you're doing. And to have that peace of mind was just, it was really great. One other thing that I think is so valuable that the attorneys at Snow, Carpio Weekley just do an outstanding job on is they are in it for the long haul. These last 7 years, they've made me a part of my own case. They show you that they don't handle their cases, but they help you handle yours. And I think that's a wonderful part about this firm that maybe other firms don't have, is that they let you be so involved in the process and are always keeping you updated, always making sure that you know what's happening, what's going to happen, expectations that you should have or you shouldn't have. They've just been so great these last 7 years. They've made my life so much easier than I know that it would have been if I would have been trying to handle it on my own. They knew what they're doing, and it's just been an amazing experience altogether. So much so that 7 years later, I'm sitting here as a third-year law student, and I am interning for the man, Brian, that answered my phone call 7 years ago and helped me through a really, really difficult time in my life. And now I get the pleasure of sitting alongside Brian, taking new client phone calls and just getting to talk to people that were me 7 years ago and going through what I was going through 7 years ago. And so, as a person that was an injured worker and a client of an attorney at Snow, Carpio Weekley, and a person that now gets to work alongside Brian and the rest of the legal team there, I can tell you there's no better person and no better group of people to have your back in your workers' compensation case. You want a legal team that is empathetic and caring and hardworking and very good at communicating and educating. The attorneys at Snow, Carpio Weekley are all of those things, because they don't just handle their cases, they help us with ours. I'm so blessed that 7 years ago I chose Brian and the legal team at Snow, Carpio Weekley to represent me during this hard time in my life. And 7 years later, I feel so blessed again that I get to work alongside of them to help people like me. It feels like a very full circle moment. It's just a testament to the support that Snow, Carpio Weekley, Brian, Krista, and all of the legal team that has helped work on my case has poured into me during the last 7 years for getting me where I am today.